Again.
You're good.
Thank you. All right, guys. Very good. All right, everybody. Welcome aboard. It's Monday night, April 7th, and you're here at the Town of Poolesville Commissioners meeting, and present are all 5 of the commissioners, as well as town staff, Town Manager Wade Yost, Assistant Town Manager Niles Anderegg. Glad to have everybody here tonight. Did I say it right?
Yes, you did. Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you. I mean, you've only been here for how long?
Almost 2.5 years, basically.
Oh, the time just flies by. Thank you for that. Anyway, everybody, thank you for being here tonight. Audience out there, great. We're going to have some special introductions, good visitors tonight to be with us. So before we get started, if we could, I'd want to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Who wants to be the one?
You got it.
I got it.
I can do it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Ed, making the executive vice president call right there. Good job. Good start. Good start. I like it. Thank you for that, my friend. Very good. Put glasses on. See what's happening. All right, so we've got plenty of business to talk about tonight, as usual, but because we've got special guests here tonight that are likely working and on duty, so we're going to bring them on up to introduce themselves. We have our new commander, Jordan Satinsky. Did I say it right? Okay. Right, gotcha. Yes, that's two for two.
You go home.
And your fellow officer, I can leave now? And your fellow officer with you, sir, go ahead, no. You can tell us. Right, and have we met before? Maybe. You look familiar. Okay, got it. Thank you. I figured. Yeah, I appreciate that. Look, thank you. You're our new commander. Thank you for coming up, sir, as well. We appreciate you, both you guys being here. This is more just an intro to the community to say hi. As we talked about just for a few minutes ago, I thought we had an excellent relationship with Commander Dillman, and that was a lot of give and take, a lot of fast response, a lot of visibility from Montgomery County Police, and being on the scene when we need you. So all we need is more of that.
And we're for it. We're totally up for it.
Okay, good. All right. Well, that's it for tonight. Thank you.
No, so real quick about me. This is my 26th year in law enforcement. Most of my career has been in violent crimes, where Commander Dillman came from the SWAT side of it. He served my search warrants, and I know when he sees this, he'll probably yell at me. But I worked homicide, child sex crimes, and adult sex crimes for most of my career. I came out, ended up here eventually. I have never worked in this area, although I've been to the Poolesville range. I can't even say how many times, and accidentally almost drove onto the NIH place a few times when I was young. So some interesting stuff there. But I'm starting to get to know the neighborhood. I've been out here a bunch of times just in the last month or so that I've been here. I've talked to a bunch of people. Niles has been fantastic. First week here, we came up to chat and say hi. And again, Commissioner Brown, just like you talked about with presence and response, Niles and I discussed, and thanks to all of you, the officers that are assigned out here in this area will be coming up this week and next to get keys to be here, especially focusing on the nighttime officers first. So they have a presence, and my request to them, well, my direction to them is that they'll have what we call affectionately the one lights on, which is just like a static blue or red, just to be a presence, especially at night. And so people see it and deter and whatnot. Chief Yamada, since he's taken the reins of the department over the last, what's it been, 8-9 months, probably? He has made the decision that he's going to redistrict the department. That is a lot of moving parts. With a county of a little over 1.34 million people and a little over 1,100 officers and at 584 square miles, there's a lot of math that goes into this, and response times, roadways, all sorts of things, and crime, right? Where do we put our officers, and how do we best serve our community? I have no idea where that sits at this moment. And I am not in any position to give any information because they don't tell me anything because I talk too much. But what I can say is we haven't done this in 18 years. And that is something we should have done. We should do. Most police departments our size and higher do this about every 10 years because of population shifts, crime trends, all sorts of things. We're a little behind the 8 ball, but we're working on it. There will be a chance at some point for community input. I'm not sure to what degree, to be very honest, because sometimes the community and the redistricting of police don't always marry up. There's emotions, and then there's the fact patterns that we have to follow, just the facts, unfortunately. But one of the things I do know we're looking at, and something Chief Yamada and I have talked about, is increasing, meaning not making them longer, but shorter, in response times to this area particularly, especially downtown Poolesville. And I'm not just saying that because I'm sitting here. I've been reading about it. I've been looking at it. I'm well aware of it. The patterns of response from where I sit in roughly Gaithersburg, Rockville, to here vary widely. For instance, the other day there was an incident that occurred out this way involving a family incident, and I was literally at Twin Brook Parkway and Veers Mill Road, the farthest away you could be from here. And it took me about 42 minutes to get here, and that was driving a regular nut with the license sirens on. Not appropriate. We're trying to figure out a way to make it better. So we are working on it. I will keep you all apprised, and you can feed it out to your community as we find out. I don't know exactly what the changes are going to be, but when they do happen, I'll let you know. My only ask is please tell us stuff. I have a lot of communities that don't talk to us because they're afraid of the costume. And I say that as a joke somewhat, but I also say it seriously because it resonates. This evokes a lot of things, especially since the last 5 years of everyone being armchair lawyers at home. Be very careful, and I can't make this work without you guys. And you guys. Sorry, I'm not trying. If we don't get the information about stuff, there's nothing I can do, and then crime or incidents fester. I can't solve all the problems, neither can our officers, but we can try, and we will work with you. We're not going to stop. He'll tell you. We will not stop, and we will help. I just need you all to give us a call. I have an email address. I gave it to, you all have my cards. Feel free to give that out. We also have the general email address as well as our, for those who have access to it, there's a confidential reporting app that we have. It's called P3, or P1, excuse me. P1, it's online. You can download it to your phone, Google, whatever, and you can report stuff anonymously to us. It's way more responsive than 311, just so we're clear. Totally different system. But if you see something, maybe you think your neighbor's dealing drugs and you don't want to get involved, trust me, I totally get it. I don't want to police my own neighborhood either. Okay, and you don't want to be that person. I get it. You can give us that information. We have a fabulous team here that works in the 1st District that works on just those kind of incidents, and we'll assign it to it, and they'll take off with it. And they will hunt it down. So please, I'm just using that as one example, but anything.
Is that, so that's called the P1?
Yes, it's the P1 app on the App Store or Google Play or
Right.
whatever.
And is it okay to circulate that information to all of our
Absolutely.
residents, I would assume?
100%.
Okay, good. We will do that.
Yes, please. Yes,
Thank you.
So for, I don't know, public disturbances that aren't necessarily dangerous, but are more of like a social concern, like someone was drunk or.
Sure.
Do you also have, like, different types of responses depending on the situation in terms of having people trained with, I don't know, social work or mental health or?
Excellent question. So my last assignment before I came here, I worked in our community engagement division where we did absolutely no community engagement, but we did all the school resource officer stuff, as well as we recreated our crisis intervention team, which is kind of what you're talking about. And we have, of our 800 and something road officers, about 98% of them are trained in crisis intervention. We then have 5 full-time specially advanced trained CIT officers that respond to things like what you're talking about. And I'll give you an example. Last week, we had it happen right over there by the school, where there was an individual who had shockingly taken in PCP, which I haven't seen since I was a young officer around here. He's not from here. Got on the wrong bus. We'll leave it there. And he started acting out by the school. The SRO, CEO happened to be out that way, called us, and we were able to come out and handle it. And between them, CIT, and everyone else, we got him taken care of. Our officers will always call in a specialized CIT and/or Health and Human Services individual therapist to come in anytime they need it. We have the avenue. The department employs a supervisory Health and Human Services specialist, a licensed clinical social worker that actually works for the police department. And we're in the process of hiring 5 social workers to ride with our CIT officers to be the first on scene of these kind of things.
That's good news. Yeah, thank you for that. Thanks for the information on that. And yes, the whole town was aware of that gentleman was having an issue that day. But we saw that. I personally saw that
Okay.
Montgomery County Police handled them with care.
Yeah, I witnessed it.
So that
Oh,
was
you guys also?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did, yep.
Yeah.
They just made themselves witnesses.
right, witnesses. Yeah, well, that's
right
fine.
back.
Yeah, I now I don't remember.
Yes.
No, that's fine. As long as it was
No, I appreciate
again, it was handled well.
Thank you very
So I appreciate that. And it was good to know. A lot of people on our Facebook page, which if you monitor our Facebook page and you should get on it, our Town of Poolesville
Okay.
community Facebook page. It's not our official Facebook page. That's where you can find all the good, the bad, the ugly on that.
Everyone
do
want to
it.
know,
Yeah.
does that sound over there?
Yeah, right. Yeah, people looking through the blinds. Oh, I see. Yeah. Anyway, that's what happens on that page. So, and there was a lot of care and concern about that situation. And I said, kudos to your guys. I actually commented on Facebook. They thought they handled it, with care. So he was definitely going through something. So
Definitely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
good. Thank you for that.
Other questions?
Yeah, audience, you guys, questions for the officers? Commander? Yeah, there you go.
So I am over at the gym
Okay.
a lot on the treadmill.
Where I should be? Yes.
And he's very fast.
But there's a lot of, that intersection where the Liberty Station is.
Yes.
So many people just shoot right through those
Yes.
stop signs. Does that fall into the town or is that
Oh, no, we can do that. It's funny you say that, sir. What's your name?
Steve Vaughn?
Mr. Vaughn. Before I got up here around 6:15 or so, and I have a meeting in the morning, and I was getting ready, and I happened to park there, just in the no parking zone, because who's going to ticket me? And I was out there for a minute watching that intersection, and I did have a conversation with one gentleman, but yes, I did notice it very quickly. That
Even with the police officers sitting.
to his credit, I was in an unmarked car, and he doesn't expect the police to be sitting there. Was his take, and we had a chat. But yes, I can ask our traffic officer. We do have, we actually just hired a new traffic officer for our district. He'll be starting whenever I get the memo. And-
Whenever a person
Yes.
gets from
So I will assign that to him, and I'll let the beat cars know as well. But yeah, it was funny you bring that up, Mr. Ron, because it was 5 minutes and I was already, yeah. So, any other questions?
Yeah, one on the other side.
Behind you, or either one, Link.
Wherever.
I'm a reporter too. So
Oh, perfect.
I'm not actually a reporter, I'm actually as a citizen. I live out in Belleville.
Okay.
It's 2 miles out on Route
Yeah, yeah.
109. And that area out there is a great straightaway. and
Yes.
Great turns.
He's going to complain about
for
motorcycles.
motorcyclists to go.
There it goes.
Great.
I had
They usually go- I'm not
I had
kidding,
it.
it's 80 to 85
Doesn't he own a
motorcycle
motorcycle shop?
beforehand.
Yeah,
I
this
saw his
guy
jacket.
probably
Yeah.
is. It's probably Jim Brown. He has a motorcycle. It's gonna be him.
I wear a
But,
full face helmet, so you can't tell.
Him and his gang.
We have a lot of buses stopping there for kids.
He has a gang.
And second, it's just really dangerous. There's too many hills there. It's too sharp. You're not gonna see something one day and kill somebody.
And that's a state road, right?
That's state road.
That's a
and
state road.
28 is as well.
Yeah, no, I just can remember. It's Bealsville Road you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. How
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
do you pronounce it? Bealsville. Ooh,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
When you drive there long enough, it'll be noticeable because you'll
Yeah.
pronounce that town right.
Yeah.
I moved here from New York, where I grew up, and I moved into the Laurel area when I first got here. And my friend was from what I thought was Bowie. Yes, I have been corrected.
He's actually bullied.
Yes,
That's the
no,
difference.
I've totally been corrected on that one.
You have on the other side, too?
Yeah, one, in addition to the Elgin Road, Fisher Avenue intersection, Hughes Westerly Avenue, you have a lot of people blowing through stop signs there. Kids on motorized bikes or small motorcycles.
God help us.
Cyclists and stuff.
Mhm.
And also, it was always my opinion that the police need to go into the neighborhoods, drive around the neighborhoods to be seen. And that never seems to have caught on or is poo-pooed as wasting your time.
No,
So
I don't think so.
anyways, But the other question is are police officers assigned here every day and night? And if so, how many?
I can't get into how many because that's a deployment and tactical thing. As far as and this being a public meeting, I can't discuss. But what I can tell you is that 24/7, there's always an officer assigned to this area. There's
Well, I
one right now.
understand, But the area, from what I remember, was all the way from here to Seneca and up to Bellsville to the Frederick County line.
A little short of it, yeah.
So,
You're about
I mean,
right.
like, something happens, and one officer, and then I also understand that it used to be, if there was a problem down county and there was an officer here, he could be pulled and sent down county.
So normally we don't pull the officers that are in this area or the one next to it. And again, we call this the Baker 3 beat, the Baker 2 beat, next to it, closer to where my office is. We tend to leave them out this way. Rockville City, while it is partially our responsibility, is not as much as our responsibility anymore. We do have officers assigned there and responding, but mostly to county facilities. So the practice of pulling people out, unless it's an officer in trouble. Now, we'll be honest, if there's an officer in trouble call, that empties everywhere, and that brings everybody to the same place, entire county. But outside of that, no, the officers wouldn't come out of there unless there was an absolute emergency. They almost always stay here unless you think something different.
No, we generally try to keep officers, just because the area is so large.
Yeah.
If we pull an officer, the response time to get back here, and for other officers to come here is too great, so we try to
Right.
keep the officers here unless we absolutely need them.
Yeah.
What about going into the neighborhoods?
Oh, I have no problem with telling them to go in the neighborhoods. That's not an issue for me whatsoever. We're actually reconstituting our bicycle team we're in the process of rebuilding the bikes we had. They were kind of all broken down. Maybe you can come, you can ride. Save your knees, ride a bike. And we're going to start deploying them out here and down in different areas of the district as well on random assignments with the folks on overtime, on regular. Officers are able to do it, especially as the summertime gets closer. They're going to be wanting to wear shorts. This is the excuse for them. But my deal is they have to ride. If they just drive around in their car, they're going to lose their shorts. So I don't mean that way, but they will, they will ride, or they won't have that uniform, because it's a separate, obviously separate uniform. So no, I am committed to getting this.
Thank you.
I have one question.
Sorry, yeah.
You're- That's okay. What is the schedule for redistricting? Do you have a timeline?
I have none. I will tell you, example, when I was in homicide in 2008, when I started in there, I was told the day I got there, Jordan, don't unpack. We're moving to the new headquarters any day. I left in 2011. We still hadn't moved. So I don't know. It could be this summer. It could be this fall. We're playing with, government timelines,
Okay,
unfortunately.
thank you.
You're welcome. But I will keep your folks apprised as soon as I find out. And when I find out things that I can share that I know are going to happen, I'll let you all know, and you can message it out.
Okay.
Yeah, not a problem.
Good. I'm going to send you, I'll email you, and I'll copy all the commissioners on it, to the, our kind of traffic hotspot areas, so your
that'd be
guys
great.
can know where to be. And then they've done a great job of it so far, being very visible along Fisher Avenue, on Elgin, going out of town, keeping it on the same intersection where you had your conversation with the gentleman the other day. And our main intersection, which is our four-way stop up here at Elgin and Fisher,
Yeah.
is the one where everybody, they run it. But I'll send all that to you in email, and then you can distribute it amongst your guys, and then we can have it from there. So,
Please feel free to share my cell phone number with the folks.
yeah, I will. Yep, yeah, no worries, can do. I don't have anything else. I'm glad you're here. Thank you, both of you. I appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having us.
Any questions for
No, good.
our representatives?
Get the witness
No?
information.
All good.
Yeah, I forgot.
Right, yeah.
Hey, thank you. We'll give you that statement. I'll be,
Alan's my
I didn't see
attorney. You
anything.
can just speak to him.
I have my seatbelt on.
Thank you. Honored to be here, and
Yeah.
we'll see you soon.
Thanks again for coming. We appreciate it. Great meeting you. Great seeing you again. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Yep, very good. Good job. Niles, if you'll give them their parting gifts and send them on their way. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Yep. All right, guys, that was great. Good to meet. And again, I'll circulate via email and have a conversation. Everybody can be joined in on being linked up with the commander. So, and with any luck, we have the same relationship or better that we had with Commander Dillman, who was very responsive as far as I'm concerned. So, good guy. All right, very good. So that's the special guest portion of today. And we have our commissioner reports, and then we'll get to our public comment area. Thank you guys for coming. And then we'll go from there. So, Alan, can you lead us off?
Absolutely. Park Board report. We actually have an upcoming meeting on this Wednesday. Finally, it felt like it's been forever, but it's only, I guess it's been 5 weeks. We're actually going to start at 6 p.m. at Stevens Park, just to do a little site visit. Over the past year and a half or so, we've made quite a bit of improvements to the basketball courts, pickleball courts. The town definitely, and Preston and his crew have continued their diligence on the rehabbing and maintaining the Stevens Park pond. We're also our main objective on Wednesday is to actually look for the relocation and the location per se of the dog park. So that's going to be interesting to see how we can find that. And also the possibility of adding some future lights at night. So we will all take a look at that on Wednesday. In bigger news, we actually have two current park board members that are stepping down, Vice Chair Pat Trainer and also Doug McKinney. We need to fill their positions. We've actually had 10 applicants that actually submitted for two positions, which is astounding, very good. So we got to fill those, and we will be filling those around April 21st, I believe it is.
Doing interviews before that.
We don't interview.
Yeah.
We don't do
These are appointed, I think.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, so they'll come up with a hierarchy and then
yeah.
make a recommendation.
Great.
But, I want to thank Pat and Doug for, the true dedication and the vision for all these years. I think they've been 15 years, something like that, in one position. And Doug's probably 21. I mean,
Former president, too.
yeah, so it's, but they had a lot of vision that have made our parks what they are today, and, they should be, acknowledged for that. Preston and the crew, obviously, spring cleanup has started. A little bit of mowing, a little bit of mulching, tree trimming. All the, I believe, all of the facilities, bathrooms, and everything are up and running. And I know they've been busy on a couple of the water main breaks. I think we had one or two over the last month they had fixed. Based on a request that I had, I know Niles actually had sent off that pedestrian safety alert through the Civics alert, which was good. Now that, it's getting a little bit nicer out and people are going to be walking at night, so that's critical. Another note, we have our good old hydrant flushing starts on April 14th. So that, Elizabeth Delight, Tama, Woods of Tama, and Brightwell start on the 14th, and we'll go through each neighborhood and finish up about April 25th. Just a note that, it gets rid of the most of the rust and iron in the lines. And if residents can just wait about 24 hours after we flush them, just to wash their white clothes, just to keep everything clean, we should be good. May 31st, we got, just a reminder, Poolesville Youth Fishing Tournament over at JPMS's pond. I think it's between 9 and 11 on that morning, Saturday morning. It's for ages 6 to 16. Youth can sign up online. It's registration, very simple, but it's a rain or shine event. And the other thing is we received, the Parks Board members, we received a very overwhelming appreciation email from one of our town residents just talking about the parks in general. Halmos, resident had some friends that came in, and it just happened to be a nice spring evening, and soccer players, basketball players, pickleball players, everything was utilized, clean. It just shows that all the hard work that our Parks Board and our staff actually maintains. It's a lot more than what people really know, but, it's nice to get recognized through a local resident, just, for us. And of course, it'll be more used once spring really hits us, instead of the fluctuation in 75 to 35 degree temperatures. So, other than that, our next Parks Board meeting after Wednesday will be May 7th. And that is pretty much what I have.
All right. Anybody have any questions for Alan? That was a good report. Almost Eckian
Oh,
in its length,
thank you.
so, and depth.
I know, I got
That's
you.
a compliment.
Yeah,
That's a compliment.
Eckian. Yeah, all right, perfect. I get my gold star now.
Something tells me there'll be revenge coming my way for that comment. But I don't mean it in any way besides that Jeff was very thorough. So I appreciate that. That was very thorough. You haven't really had a meeting yet, though. Be thorough about.
It was, we talked about a lot, but again, we missed a couple months from the holidays. Once, I was,
Yeah, came
newly
into
elected
office.
and just didn't work out on some of my schedule. So we've only had, I think it's only November, December, January, third
Yeah.
meeting total.
Yeah.
So, but it's good. Obviously I'll do a little bit more park to park, get familiarized most of them. I do know most of them, but there's a few that are hidden around the corner.
Yeah.
So, be interesting.
Alan, you've done a great job. Thank you for everything that you've done so far. I appreciate you've done good commissionering over there. So we're going to honor Pat, and
Doug.
give me the schedule for that again.
That'll be at the next meeting, the 21st, we will honor both Doug and Pat.
Right.
They both exceeded the 10 years, so they're going to get the flag and the whole 9 yards of proclamation.
Great. Yeah. Well, that's good. And wasn't there some hang up that like they're both serving through the end of the month, or what was that? Was
This
that
is
last
their last
month?
meeting. This is their last.
Yeah, this is the last one right here.
And so then after this meeting, they are officially not on the committee. We have potentially we'll be nominating our replacements,
But they'll be, being thanked for their service and bringing somebody else in and take their place at the same time.
Right, okay. And we'll have the recommendation process done by then? For
Correct.
all that to work and the timing wise? Understand, okay, good. All right, well, I just wanted to double check it. Thank you for that, Alan. Good deal, yes, and I concur. Pat and Doug have been outstanding committee members, so love having volunteers like that. Hope the ones that you guys recommend on the next go-round are just as good. So, all right, very good. Anything else for Alan? Nope. All right, good. Brian, you're up, bud.
Yeah, we have our next meeting on next Wednesday, 16th, I think. And I haven't seen the agenda for that, but I have a feeling we may be talking to Mr. Jameson.
He's not gonna be ready to come in yet.
Okay. One of the things we have been working on since the last meeting is we've been working with Mid-Atlantic to get some adjustments on the houses that are not facing, on Fisher, but not facing Fisher, particularly the one facing Fife, because it had a lot of siding. And when we talked about the orientation to that house, we okayed it with it not facing Fisher if we could make the side not look like a big
Big piece of siding,
Yeah.
right.
And they've extended the porch on the roof of the porch at least all the way to the end of the house, which makes it look like a front porch almost. And there's a gable for the upstairs on the upper level facing Fisher. So that kind of also makes it look. I don't think it's missing really to make it look like.
They added windows up there too.
They added windows up there. That's right. And the only thing that's kind of missing to make it look like really a front is just the door. But that's the side of the kitchen where the all the appliances and the cabinets are.
Right,
So
makes
that just won't work. But I think we're
Great, those are good, solid
Yeah.
recommendations, good adjustments, and learning from what we've done in the past.
Yep.
So, that's good. Way to go.
And we're hoping that they'll take that and apply that to the one that's facing Wayland Commons also on that end of Fisher.
Great.
They'll be coming in, so we'll have an opportunity to talk to
So
them.
they are on the agenda.
Yeah.
Awesome. What else? I haven't seen anything about the next agenda yet.
Yeah, so on the next agenda, they're going to have some variances related to some of the siding of some of the houses next door.
Okay.
So that will be a big part, and then we'll have the follow-up discussion about the parking that we've sort of pushed off, just because of everything else we've been doing for the last couple.
Water allocation, I
And
think we
water-
should talk about a little
Yeah,
bit.
we'll have a little bit of a conversation before the meeting on the 21st.
Okay.
But we'll talk more about it at the next month's meeting, so this will sort of be more of a primer for that process.
Yep. I think that's all the updates I have for the planning commission.
Very good. Any questions for Brian, you guys? Nope, okay. Which one of y'all? Sarah's up.
I'll go for fair access.
Thank you.
Thank you for the note, Ed. On March 26th, Fair Access members met with the Poolesville High School Booster Club, the Poolesville High School leadership, and an MCPS rep to do a walkthrough of the athletics facilities. And we'll be working together going forward to advocate for the Poolesville High School sports fields. Is there anything that either of you want to add? I know you were both there.
That would be lengthy. No, it was,
Okay.
just a long process
cold.
of our antiquated campus, and the reality of it is we're the only modernization project in Montgomery County that has not had anything athletic field touched versus any other major project school renovation. So we had a good turnout. Link was there, Jim, Ed. I mean, it was. We had Dr. Jeff Sullivan. He's the statewide athletics director for Montgomery County and the statewide. So,
Gentleman from construction.
yeah, we had Greg Kellner from construction, Libby, Mark Carruthers, and Gina. So it was a all hands on deck, and just pretty much just have everybody take a look and see, how old our athletic campus is and what we need, and we deserve to have a little TLC and a little bit of upgrades. So it's just the initial step, but we got a lot of work to do, and, I'm pretty, steadfast on advocating for what we need.
And what we want to do in that process is to help facilitate true equity, knowing that that Poolesville has been left out of that equitable equation when we look at all the other schools who get all the really nice fields with their new builds, and really identifying what are the barriers and then how do we work through those barriers that's preventing Poolesville from getting what it deserves, just like all the other high schools. And knowing that there are a couple of new high schools on schedule, like Downtown Crown is a new school that's going to come online. And so we want to make sure that Poolesville gets that fair share as well, because it doesn't just affect the school when you have a really nice field, but it also affects the community in terms of opportunities for economic development. When folks rent out the schools and they have tournaments, that's an opportunity for our local businesses also to reap some of those benefits of Poolesville's facilities being used. So we want to make sure that we help facilitate the conversation to how do we solve the problems, and not just, oh, wow, we should have gotten. Where focus is, okay, let's look at how do we get. So that's where we are.
You know, I will say this too. One thing, Alan, appreciate the relationship you have with Jeff Sullivan. That's big. And on top of it, I think we were all a little bit impressed with some of the innovative discussion about, like, come on, let's look at this a little more like a blank canvas here, and what's the best way to turn this around, because they're citing, and we'll get with town engineering on this, but they're citing, you know, stormwater issues are going to be huge, like almost insurmountable, having to raise the grade of the field by 4 feet or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's unbelievable to me. I mean, I'm sure they all didn't, you know.
Not only that, it was that and raising softball and baseball. I mean, it was,
Yeah,
you know.
like,
Like what, so we just let the existing fields continue to deteriorate?
Yeah, but the
That's not
existing fields
answer
already
either.
have drainage, so there's, you know.
so it was a big discussion. Again, a good, innovative discussion, a lot of conversation about it. Jeff obviously is open to, they've developed a really nice relationship with him. He's a pro kid person.
Yep.
And wants what's the best. And they also did share some of the information on how much more safe the fields are now that are being manufactured, the artificial turf fields are,
Oh, yeah.
and what the perceptions have been in the past, and also some of the real issues been in the past. Like, you know, you make a tackle and there's a big flurry of ground rubber dust that pops up. That's not how they're made anymore. So it was a good meeting for all of us, and it would have been nicer to do it on a warmer day, but
It was a little breezy.
that was
Cold, let's be honest.
it was cold.
This is how spring is.
Yeah. But anyway, so sorry, Sarah. That's all I just want to add. That was a good meeting, and hopefully something comes out of it.
Right.
And the equity part, it is almost insulting to get all the money spent on our school to finally get us to where we need to go there, and be the only one that doesn't get a field upgrade. And,
We're talking about elementary schools getting
yeah,
turf now.
it's insane, and it hurts. It's insulting to have it be that way. So I really appreciate the advocacy, and hopefully we can get somewhere with that.
I feel good.
Good. All right.
Y'all are just gonna keep ringing that bell.
Yep.
And speaking of, Link and Jim were down at the county offices today testifying on behalf of the Fair Access Committee, along with WAMCO and the Poolesville seniors. So we're continuing to push for the funds that we need from the operating budget for the community center, potentially for the pool bubble. We'll see. Also, you guys were able to actually go see a pool bubble.
So thank you. We went to the Quince Orchard Pool Bubble, privately owned now. We were there for almost 2 hours looking at how it all works. And it's kind of a cool time because they're getting ready to, first of all, as people know, it's a combination pool and tennis court, bubbles plural. And they're replacing both of them. So their bubbles have lasted 23 years. So those bubbles, and that's up and down every year until recently. So we're
And that's older technology.
older technology, older bubble, older mounting technology, older assemble technology. Not saying that the world has changed on that a lot, but it has changed. And the electronic, right? Yeah, we talked about that today at town staff. It's the electronics are completely different. Can be run on your phone. But what it comes down to is that to see all that gave us more perspective. It was a completely different experience than when we went out to St. Mary's and saw their pool bubble being assembled. Town staff went with us, and we had a good meeting there. But this was interesting to see, and this is they're using a different company. We've been using a certain company as a baseline for all of our knowledge so far. This is a completely different company, a true competitor to the companies that we've spoken to. And so it was interesting to see. And they've got, I was telling the staff today when we had our pre-meeting meeting that had to tell the gentleman that was running it, okay, let's calm down on the negative. There's a lot of positives here. let's keep it, we want the truth, but let's keep it on the positive side if we can. Because we were there with Marilyn Balcom, and we had to have a strategy session with Marilyn afterwards to talk about the best way to continue to pursue this from the county's budget perspective. So anyway, good meeting. We're learning more every day.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Jim.
Yep.
And then I just wanted to mention, so our next meeting is this Thursday. We have it's a packed meeting, and so I just want to invite all the other commissioners, if you'd like to come and listen in. We have a presentation from our representative on the Libraries Commission, Abby Klaus Radigan. We have our representative from the Aging Commission, Linda Burkowski. Oh, Linda, but you're also coming on Thursday? Okay. And then we'll be talking about, again, our strategy for making sure that we are advocating for the operating budget and how we're going to line up testimonies and discussions with the different votes that we need to get, and the proposed video that we are working on with Laura Van Epren. And let's see, we're going to be talking about UCAP, the Up County Advisory Board. Thank you. I was like blanking. We're also going to be talking about the proposed Farmers Appreciation Day, and we're going to start talking about the Poolesville Day Breakfast. So a full meeting.
Okay.
You're welcome to come and listen, but I will also take good notes. So.
Sarah, give us
Yes.
your take on you attended the Sugarloaf Citizens Association
Yes.
meeting with Link. Give us that one.
Well, it was.
How'd the hot seat feel? There you go.
It was really nice to meet the other folks who are in the Ag Reserve, but aren't necessarily Poolesville residents.
Sure.
There were some Poolesville residents there as well. But the presentation was on protecting our sole source aquifer. And so Caroline gave a fantastic presentation about kind of a lot of education so that people could understand how we get our water and how we can protect it. And then there were some direct questions about what are we doing as commissioners to take seriously some of the newer reports that are talking about potential changes that we might need to make, considering weather pattern changes and droughts. And so I just did my best to talk about the fact that we are taking in information as it comes, and it goes through a process of vetting the information and incorporating the information and then making decisions based on it. So I know Wade has been working with MDE on incorporating this information and vetting it with all of the other information that we have, and that we're going to be hearing more about that today and next meeting for sure. And that the public is invited to come talk with us about that as well.
Right. So yes, our April 21st meeting, we'll talk about this a little bit later on, but we will be holding a public conversation about our water resource management, also wastewater resource management. And that'll be open to the public. It'll be widely advertised. The town of Poolesville has nothing to hide. We'll be talking about this in public till the cows come home. So,
can I just add,
sure.
As commissioners, we went on a tour of our wastewater treatment plant before
Yes.
our budget meeting a couple weeks ago. It was fascinating. I don't think that the average resident understands the complexity of the process. And
I echo that. That's absolutely.
it was fascinating. I wish that every resident could get a tour of the facilities. Yeah, it was really.
They've told me
fantastic.
They've told me not to tell people that.
Yeah. Or at the very least, maybe you could do like a YouTube video.
That's not a bad idea.
Tour
We
of
could
it
do
and
that.
then have that posted, and then people can see.
I could see Matt. He would love doing that. So, yeah. Anyways, so
I was impressed.
I learned something new every day when we go down there, and you're right. It was a great tour. So thank you for town staff for putting that together. And Brian, thank you for. You're welcome.
I apologize in advance if people start showing up. That wasn't meant to be a public invitation.
Anyway, all right, Sarah, that's it. Have you done it? Ed?
Well, maybe Brian can have a special tour with a couple of guests who want to sign up.
Yeah, there you go.
I've got my tour scheduled.
All right, there it is.
There it
Maybe
is.
We can get a couple of other
I used
guests.
to operate a
go with you.
wastewater treatment facility, by the way.
Oh, learn something new every
I
day.
did not know that.
Wade, you hear that? All right. So, but looking at sustainable Poolesville, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So with Sustainable Poolesville, we had our meeting on Wednesday, March 26th, and I definitely want to recognize Don, our chairperson, who's here in the audience with us. And so a couple of things we looked at. Arbor Day event with Pepco, that took place, that's going to take place it's going to take place April 24th. And so we'll partner up with Pepco on behalf of the town on the 24th. And then it's planting some trees, and then we have a community compost. We've been talking about compost for some time, and one of the things that we talked about in our committee was looking at a system, developing some type of system where there are those who want to compost and don't really know how to, and those who want the compost from other people who don't really need it but want to. And we're really looking at how do we create some type of system where you protect privacy but match people together, those who want to compost, those who want the compost, right? And so finding out a way, how do we connect them? So that's something we're still talking about. Some of our projects that we have are Pick It Up Poolesville. That started back on March 30th. They had another one yesterday at Waylands Commons. Next one is on the 21st at Stevens Park. And then there's another one May 4th on Bud Road. And so I know that Erica Reed is in touch with you, and that's being advertised. Bless you. And then the next project is the Zero Waste with boxes. And so the team is working on some new flyers to promote the Zero Waste. The other one, you've heard me talk to you all about it some time ago with the HelpSee organization. That's the one that will come and take the different fabrics and looking at having the representative from HelpSee present to us. And so Don will be in touch with you on organizing that, and she'll probably either come in person or on video. But one of the things we want to do as Sustainable Poolesville is set up a conversation between the thrift shop and HelpSee and say theoretically or philosophically, how could the two work together so there's not like a competition for clothes or things like that, but how do they work together? When we heard the presentation, it was really great because they often partner with different types of thrift stores, things that aren't selling in the thrift store, how to move those forward, and how do you be able to look at making sure the goal, once again, is to keep clothes out of the landfills. And so that's one that drives it. Last thing we did, as you may recall, I talked about having some of the students from Poolesville High School working with us. And so we have a point person over at the high school, Erin Ben, I think is her last name. And they do she does the global ecology, but looking at kids, you don't have to be in the global ecology. But what we want to do is open up opportunity to our students here in town where they could come and work with us at Sustainable Poolesville. And one of the things we talked about is having students take the lead on education, creating an educational video on our wastewater system. All right. And so if you recall last month, I said it would be great to be able to have that videos and things that help the public look at what does this conservation look like in all different areas when you think about sustainability. Then after that lovely tour of the wastewater treatment, I was thinking, hey, it'd be great. We got some kids who are very talented in this community. And so not only do we help promote the benefits of making sure that we are doing the things as the community to keep to enhance our wastewater system, but also create I think we do have a responsibility as a town, as town leadership, whether it's sitting on a committee or sitting as commissioners, to create leadership opportunities for our students to get involved in their town. And I'm a huge proponent of creating opportunities for our young people in town to get involved in local government. And so this is just another way where kids can find a way to see how they fit in here. And that was it. Our next meeting is going to be on April 23rd. Don, did I leave anything out? All right.
I just want to add, you reminded me of one more thing from the meeting a couple weeks, the Sugarloaf Citizens meeting. They had a couple high school students present who were grant recipients. And one of the students his team had designed this sort of like a filter that you can insert under the sink that takes out the fat and oils, so it doesn't get into the wastewater. And it empties it into a regular water bottle that you then can just detach and throw away, and then install a new, water bottle underneath. Because they said that's the biggest problem is people don't want to clean out the fat out of something. So it was really innovative. And if they could patent it and make money off it, they would make a lot of money off of it. They said since they designed it in high school, they can't make any money off of it.
Come up with a new design.
I know. It was an impressive design.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Ed, anything else? Questions for Ed?
Yep.
I'll keep mine short. Thank you, Fair Access Committee, for working on what we expect to be some sort of farm recognition day. We've been having discussions with Kevin Schramm, Poolesville Day Committee, Tara here at Town Hall, events coordinator, the farming community, trying to figure out the best way to do it so it's not an overburden on our farming community to be able to present to it. But the vision that we have so far is that essentially that end of town up there, or what will be our cultural arts zone one day, we could be taken over as really like, this is a bad phrase. It'll be something different, ag town. And that entire area up there could be transformed into like a tribute to the ag community. Horseback rides, farm equipment, displays, booths, et cetera, all up there. Easy in, easy out access to the farming community to be able to come up and be a part of it up there. And, we could see something where you just, that end of town is potentially transformed into something special that day. So, there's still a possibility of everybody's still got to get together. We have more work to do on it to figure out how the format's going to come together. But it's, sitting at base vision level, that's kind of what we're looking at right now. So more to come. And again, appreciate the Fair Access Committee devoting the time to it. It said pool bubble visit. So we got some good strategy from Maryland on that visit. And the strategy was, and I think it's something that we're going to be talking about more as time goes on, the Fair Access Committee will talk about as well, so Mark Elrich is going to be an elected official here, for a while. Even though he's term limited, he's going to be running for at large, already declared. And it's hard to see him not win. So we're going to be pushing him, just like we pushed him initially on the school redo as well as the community center. And we're going to try our best to get Mark on our side and let it be kind of a top-down for the time being approach to getting it in the budget and then going from there. So we haven't seen anything that scares us off yet on the pool bubble. It's all been kind of, we gain more information, but nothing scary. So with any luck, we'll kind of keep the ball rolling on that. Again, kudos to Link as well as Melissa from WUMCO today. Great testimony, and I recorded most of it, Link. So I missed your opening joke, but I recorded the rest of it, and I'll be posting it on the various Facebook pages coming up in the next day or so. So appreciate that testimony on that. That was good stuff today. And a lot of, everybody is heartfelt. If you see, it's kind of a cattle call for testimony when you go testify for the budget at the county council level. But, Link did a good job of making his stand out and representing the community. And they see Poolesville all over the house when they come into the council members look out from the dais and look, and there's a Poolesville person, there's a Poolesville person, there's a Poolesville person. That's what makes a difference. Last but not least, we are going to be working hard on our continued advocacy with our farm community and members of our farm community, everybody from MAP with Bob Sissel to the great relationships we've developed with the Sugarloaf Citizens Association. Link and I are probably going to have a meeting with a member of the Farm Bureau to kind of see how we can solidify and how they know that Poolesville can be an advocate for them and for pushing for them. And kind of along the same lines, I want to take my hat off to our delegation in Annapolis. This has been a crazy period. As you guys know, there's like 1,100 bills submitted on one side and 1,700 on another. I have no idea what everybody's writing all those bills about. I wouldn't even want to begin to think about how you could try to improve the state through, 2,000 plus bills. But they've got that one figured out. That's not for me, nor would I ever want to be the person that wants to do that. But I give our delegation, Dave Fraser-Aldago, Brian Feldman, Lily Chi, and Lynn Foley, they are always keeping in mind Poolesville, the up county in our region, for trying to make sure that they're doing the right thing by us. And so I just want to say up front, I appreciate all the communications they've had, and they've been behind us, the wind beneath our wings the whole time. So anyway, that's it from my end of it. Any other questions? Nothing? Everybody still awake? Okay, good. All right, public comment time. I give you, Jerry, you're the first one that signed up. Is it on a particular item, or you want to just come up and have public comment?
Well, I'd rather hear the thing on the Dickerson facility, and then I'll wait and
Okay, that's fine. I'll make sure I call on you too. And then we have the Vaughns, first-time visitors, yes? Poolesville residents, I take it? Come on up and take your seats, introduce yourself, and thank you for coming. Come on, sit up there. What's that, you signed by mistake? Yeah, well, come up and introduce yourself. That's fine.
Live across the street from me, good folks.
Oh, right, from you?
Hunters Run.
Oh, really? Okay, good.
Hunters Run people.
Fantastic.
Nice.
Right.
We've been here for 32 years, yeah. Hunters.
Okay, gotcha. I'm always embarrassed.
Is
Somebody
this your
come.
first meeting?
No, many years ago.
I've only been here for a couple of years. I wouldn't.
Yeah. My usual embarrassment is somebody comes up and they're like, well, you sold me our house. I'm like, so 32 years? No. Right. They're still mad at me.
Our son went to school with your daughter, Jess.
Oh, really? Okay. Who's your son?
Danny Vaughn.
Oh, yeah, I know who he is. All right, that all makes sense then. So what, he's 35 now or something like that? Oh, man, people, that's putting some age on all of us. Forget that part. All right, come on up. Glad you guys are here. Say hi.
I'm Sharon Vaughn, hello. I do have a couple questions. Is now?
Good. Yeah, of course.
And this may or may not have anything to do at all with us or with you all.
Now, we know there's a lot of stuff going on, and people, we love it when they come up and want to talk.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Yep.
Over the past few months, there's been an increased amount of garbage, I would say, on 28 and 107.
Mm-hmm.
Who's responsible for that? Like right over there by Partnership, right along there.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Winery. I mean, it's a mess. Plastic bags, and it's just horrible. So I'm just curious. I'm not saying that you all need to do something. I just want to know who is responsible for that.
I mean, it's the county. So I would imagine that, right, it's not,
It is, yes.
you can't pin that on the state. It's certainly not us. But we can always report it.
Yes.
And that makes sense for us to do that. So it's not our turf. But, yeah, we hear you loud and clear. I think we've all noticed that, right?
We have.
Yeah. I don't know why it's different right now. Maybe they just stopped picking it up.
There's
You know,
volunteer groups that do go out in the springtime. They'll probably be kicking up here pretty soon and
yeah.
But
Yeah.
it doesn't hurt to talk to the county, for us to even talk to the county about addressing it, though.
Sometimes roads have the sign that says adopted by or whatever, like maintained by a social group of some kind or civic group.
I didn't see any over there.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't think there is a sign on that side.
So chances are we'll probably have town staff report it to our connections at the county council office, and then they'll trickle it down. I will say that they're very earnest over there, but sometimes it's hard to get action from them, but we'll try. Thanks for bringing it up. Anything else Poolesville-wise? What can we do better?
No, I just want to know what's going on with White's Ferry.
Yeah.
Updates.
Well, I didn't say anything, but tomorrow morning I have a meeting with our DOT and our council member, and I have no idea where it's going to lead us. But we've had discussions. In fact, Fair Access Link and I have been proposing. We've come up with, I wouldn't call it a proposal a week, but we come up with regular proposals on how to solve this. And because it just feels like nothing's going on, the same thing. But we appreciate you asking, and then I'll be reporting publicly after we get done with our meeting tomorrow, assuming I can. I mean, sometimes there may be a deal in the works. If there is, that's fantastic. And then we'll report on it as soon as we can to let everybody know, including my fellow commissioners, what's going to go on with that. So this is the first time that we've ever been summoned together in this working group that we're going to have tomorrow. And I'm hopeful that means something is on the horizon. We've kicked over a lot of different, attempted solutions to try and get them. We are the affected municipality. We've been pushing the ball the whole time. They've said that if we don't push the ball, then it may not happen. So we keep pushing, and we believe in getting Whites Ferry back, having be full operational, and having it serve the community. So
You could ask this question 4 years ago, we would have been in a better position.
yeah, God, yeah, it's hard to
good. I
imagine.
think
it's
we're
been-
good, though.
It's hard to imagine it's been 4 years. So it's sad. It's a terrible confluence of private ownership, lack of action by Virginia, lack of action to some degree on our behalf. The two private owners not getting agree, body of water, two of the most prosperous counties in the state, two of the most prosperous states in the country, can't get it together. One's got a red governor, the other one's got a blue governor. It's all these things that are just make it its own conundrum just by itself. So, but thanks for asking. Yeah, we're working on it still.
Always.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, you ended your testimony today.
Link did. Link threw it out there.
Link did, yeah.
Yeah,
I did see that link. Very good.
But I was serious.
Yeah. Wait, sir.
Yes, so I'm Steve Vaughn.
Hi, Steve.
And the only questions I guess we'll deal with the next meeting that you have. You mentioned water.
Yeah.
So that's my big concern is, I see the houses going up.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, well, how can we do that? Because don't we have a water shortage? That's
Right.
the first part. And then the second part is, do we have a water shortage? Because,
Well,
should we be washing cars or?
Yeah, no, that's all good questions, and I think all the commissioners are up to speed on that scenario. But what it comes down to is that we do have water, and we're careful with it, and we protect it. As you know, that there was we asked for a voluntary water reduction consumption by our residents last summer during the drought. But that's a little bit of a misnomer because we had, at the same time, we had our highest yielding well was offline for PFAS treatment and also as we were bringing our water tower up to speed. So our water tower has been completely reconditioned. We had to turn water off in order to deal with that, as well as providing PFAS mitigation, which we're leading the state in. We're showing the state how to remediate PFAS. So there are some growing pains that are going to take place, but we're very cognizant of what those are. I think we're one of the few towns in Maryland that has their own staff hydrologist. We watch our water like nobody else does, but we do have people that watch our water too, and we don't blame you for asking. These are two, and I'm sorry, you guys, if I'm going to go on for this for a minute. These are two of the most visible, and I say two because there's going to be a development behind the CVS, as you probably know. That green space is going to be townhouses here before too long. Four of the most visible developments are taking place all along Fisher Avenue. But it's not by accident. If you read our comprehensive plan, Brian was on our planning commission. Thank the town staff for putting all the work they did together on our comprehensive plan. If you look at it, we're devoting our resources to creating the most vibrant, interesting, and vital downtown area, commercial zone. And it's all because we focused our very limited resources that we're very much on top of, to creating that in this downtown zone. So will we still have some development potentially on the outer edges of town? Yes, as time goes on, most likely. But the core of our downtown zone, which we consider to be the most important part because that's what makes your downtown. Number one rule was get new Poolesville High School. No high school, no town. Rule number two is make sure that our downtown is vibrant, interesting, strollers, sidewalks, streetscape, people, and to focus, if we're going to have infill development, we're going to do it in that downtown zone. So what you're seeing is a result of all those efforts over 20 years coming together just right now. And it's a lot for our residents to understand and consume, because you can just see we're setting off dynamite every day next door. We're going to be shovels in the ground. There's going to be a traffic circle down there one day. I'm sorry, did I call that right?
Roundabout.
A roundabout. I always mess that up. A roundabout down at the other end of town, down by Fisher and Wooten. So these changes are coming. They'll feel sudden to our residents, but they've been in the works for quite some time, and it's all coming together now. But back to your question about water. come to our next meeting. And we'll give you more details on that. But I can tell you, there's no more studied water scenario than what we have in Poolesville, and we keep a very close eye on it. We were one of the first towns to have a truly stringent, what do we call it with our water hydrants? Well protection. Thank you. Yeah, I was going to get there. Well protection systems, water protection systems in the state. So we're very, very cautious, and we're very conservative on our water use. So we do have enough water to build the things that we're going to build. That doesn't mean that you're not going to see water conservation measures being asked to be adopted, because we will be shutting down parts of our system for PFAS mitigation. Town staff is putting together a plan right now where we can do PFAS mitigation in a way that's the most efficient, but that's going to mean some interruptions in water service while we prepare that system. So,
In general, the public should never have to know about it.
right, yeah, those.
Seamless.
Well, but the only reason I say it is because if we do something and then it coordinates with the drought and it coordinates, you might still see something that says we need conservation measures. So, but does not mean that we're out of water.
So far, the conservation measures have not been mandatory, it's just been voluntary.
And I just want to say, we should be adopting and looking for ways to conserve water regardless, because it is a valuable resource, but yes.
But we'll tell you about that too, because it's, and Sarah's right. If you look at our most recent water rate schedule we adopted, it encourages conservation of water. So that's been part of our theme, is to figure out a way to make it not necessarily painful, but also to make sure that the residents know that we want them to conserve for the best use of the aquifer, period. So it's coming. There's going to be 4 developments being built at the same time in Poolesville. We do have the water forum. I don't see us building too much beyond that, because we're barking up against our 6,500 population. It's not a race to get there. We're not trying to get to 6,500 as quick as we can. This is just a time frame where over the past 10 years and even longer, a lot of these have been in work, and they just happen to all be happening right now. So, and you asked a 1-minute question, you got a 20-minute answer. Sorry about that. What else? Anybody else want to contribute? I don't want to hear myself voice anymore.
Covered it.
And I know we'll really get into this in 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks we'll have our meeting on that.
Well, I guess the only thing I would add to it also is that the applications for those water connectors, right, taps, isn't that was done some time ago, right?
You mean like for the connections?
For the
ones that are
connections.
existing.
For next door
Yeah.
and
Right.
things like that. Yeah, I mean, this has been built in. It was in the comprehensive plan and in everything.
Several
that we've
years ago,
done.
though.
Yeah, well, and that's my point, because sometimes folks might look and say, "Oh my goodness, they're just giving out these water. Why are you giving this stuff out?" Where the reality, it's already been issued and assigned and accounted for years. And so when he talks about things that have been in the works for years, that also includes when that water connection was allocated.
But that being said, and I appreciate you bringing that up because it reminds me, that being said, doesn't mean that we wouldn't adapt or change our plan if we had to, because we ran into situations. Correct. So that we're not, I think there's an accusation floating out there somewhere that, we just have this plan and we're marching forward no matter what we hear or whatever happens, and that's not true. The town is going to be, we live day to day. We pay attention to our trends. We have a lot of data at our fingertips, and we watch it. So,
And the comprehensive plan is on the website, so if you guys wanted to spend 334 pages, one at a time, though.
If you're having trouble sleeping at night,
Yes.
I recommend it.
You appreciate the summary, yes.
yeah, I appreciate the summary, the Cliff's Notes. All right, you guys, great meeting you. Thank you for coming up.
Appreciate you coming up.
Hit us up with you have any questions.
See you in 2 weeks.
You in the back, sir. You want anything? Do you want to come up? That's you. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
That's why he's sitting in the back.
I know, I got him. I know who he is. Appreciate you coming again.
I want a 45-minute answer.
I got it. That's right. Well, we get the opportunity. All right, very good. Thank you, Vaughn family, for that. That was good to have you guys up, and you're welcome anytime. All right, approval of the minutes. We'll come back to you, Jerry. Approval of the minutes for March 17th, 2025, and everybody was here for that one, so Could we have a motion for approval?
A motion to approve the minutes from March 17th?
Motion for approval of March 17th, 2025 meeting made by Sarah, second by
Alan?
Alan. Alan seconds that. Any other questions on the minutes, changes, abridgments, et cetera? There is one? No? All in favor of approving the minutes for March 17th, 2025, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? None? Okay, the minutes for that date have been approved. All right, new business. The Dickerson Area Facility Implementation Group, represented by our Poolesville resident Linda. Come on up.
Funny to call that new business.
Yeah, you're right. Well, maybe where they're headed is new business.
Good evening.
Got it.
Good evening.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're perfect.
Yeah.
Great. So I just want to make a correction. I am not the representative from Poolesville on the Commission on Aging. I represent all older residents of Montgomery County. I happen to live in Poolesville. You'll hear more about that on Thursday.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Okay. In my spare time, I also serve on the Dickerson Area Facilities Implementation Group, affectionately known as the FIG. The FIG, yes, the FIG is one of the appointed boards, committees, and commissions in the county, and our role is to inform the County Department of Environmental Protection, specifically their environmental management system. They do have one. And our particular interest are the solid waste management facilities that are located in Dickerson. So you may be familiar with the incinerator. There's also the leaf grow operation, which is where all of the leaves that are collected in the county are taken and they're turned into mulch, bagged, and then sold in retail locations. We also have what used to be the Pepco power plant, which is being decommissioned. It's been decommissioned. More on that in a little bit. And there's also a very large tract of land that was set aside as a landfill, but it has not been used as a landfill. So there is a solid waste advisory commission in Montgomery County, and they look at trash pickup and waste management generally. We focus on the facilities that are in Dickerson. And I am the Poolesville representative on that group. So we're considered a community, an affected community, as is Barnesville, as is Bellsville. Dickerson obviously has representatives. And then there are people from the community. The meetings are open. We meet quarterly. Our next meeting is June 10th. We meet up at Linden Farm off of Martinsburg Road. We begin at 7 o'clock and we end sometime before midnight. What is it that we talk about? Well, we talk about, first off, the fact that the county executive and the county council members all ran on the idea of closing the incinerator. We're going to shut the incinerator down. We're going to find another way of dealing with our solid waste in the county. So just so you know, all the solid waste in the county goes to the incinerator. It's burned up, and then that ash is transported to a landfill in Virginia. It's not sent to the landfill that's next to the incinerator. And that's the way that it's been for at least 25 years. That incinerator has overlived its usefulness. It's 20th century technology. The budget that we all went to today to hear the first hearing on, there's a lot of money in that budget to keep that incinerator running. So as long as there is an incinerator and the leaf grow facility, and as long as there's a land set aside for the landfill, the FIG will continue to advise the county. And we're advising the county to stop burning its trash. That's really why we exist, is to continue to tell the county to do that. The reason it hasn't stopped is that it hasn't come up with an alternative plan for handling our solid waste. Even though our trash isn't picked up the way that other people's are, our hauler still has to abide by the rules that the county sets. So, we have to pay the same tonnage rates that everybody else pays. We just have a little less of a distance to go. And so it's important to Poolesville because when the trash is burned, the ash that's created goes into the atmosphere, it falls on the land, and it falls in the water. So the Potomac River, 10 Mile Creek, all the streams. So that's why it's important to Poolesville. If something changes in the way that solid waste is managed in the county, it will affect Poolesville too, because we'll have to deal with it. So right now, aside from closing the incinerator, the other concern is what the county is doing to actually come up with an alternative. Whether that's zero waste management, getting to zero waste. They've just hired someone to take on that role. Whether it's charging more for waste pickup. And if you looked at the budget, you'll notice water rates through WSSC and trash pickup rates are going up considerably, mostly to help pay the $100,000 that it's going to cost to keep the incinerator running until the new strategies are in place. And those new strategies, they tell us, will take anywhere from 5 to 7 years to come to fruition. So it's 2025. The incinerator is run by a company called Reworld. Their contract was due to be up next year, 2026. It's now going to be extended another 5 years. So at least to 2030, 2031, possibly 2032. So you have to ask yourself, what is the problem? From our perspective, from the FIG's perspective, the problem is that the County Environmental Protection Agency wants everything to be signed, sealed, and delivered before they will close the incinerator. They have to have everything done, changed, modified. So think about the transfer station at Shady Grove. That is basically hemmed in. There's no place for it to expand. And then trash is put onto rail cars, transported up to Dickerson, and shoveled into the incinerator. The same thing with leaves. They also go onto train cars. Sometimes when CSX has a derailment or an accident or something goes wrong with the CSX tracks, then the trash is transported by truck. And that happens 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So if you ever see a big semi coming up Route 28 or a lot of dump trucks, that's where they're coming from Shady Grove and they're headed to Dickerson. One of the options that the county is considering is putting all of the waste collection in Dickerson. That means
Moving the transfer station.
transfer station up here to Dickerson.
Shady Grove to,
Yes, because there's no place to go in Shady Grove. However, it's right on top of 270 and an interstate highway. So if they were to do that, they would have to turn Route 28, Route 107, Route 109 into 4-lane highways.
They wouldn't be able to use the trains?
There's only so much they can do with the trains. They don't own the tracks. That's CSX. So even if they increased the train traffic, it still wouldn't be enough. So that's sort of the good news, bad news piece of it. I am here because as a representative from Poolesville, I just wanted to apprise you of the situation, encourage you to get involved, come to the meetings, say, we are concerned. We don't necessarily want all trash collected to come through Dickerson. The Dickerson site is effectively a Superfund site. It's never going to be agricultural. It's zoned heavy industrial. What was the power plant, the GenOn power plant, is being decommissioned and is being considered as a data center and battery storage facility. So the people who have to put up with the trash trucks and the train full of trash will also have to put up with the hum, the noise, the lights from a data center. And that data center will draw its water from the Potomac River. Now, if you've looked lately, the Potomac is way down. So that may or may not be feasible, but that plan is going through the planning process right now. Planning and permitting is looking at it. The Maryland Department of Environment will probably have a lot to say about it. But if you want Poolesville to have a say in what happens, you need to let me know so I can bring your concerns to the FIG and to the county. So let me go through the official presentation, and then I'll take any questions. So next. So what is the DAFIG? We are an advisory board to the County Department of Environmental Protection. We meet quarterly. It's strictly around solid waste facilities in Dickerson. We don't get involved in the stuff that goes on at Shady Grove, but we live with the consequences of what's going down there. So we have land that's set aside for a landfill that's never been used, the composting facility. Eventually, there may be food composting there as well, and then the incinerator. Next slide, please. So our members are drawn from Up County, but you don't have to live in Up County to come to the meetings and ask questions. The information is on the DAFIG website. It's not intuitive, but if you take the time, you can make your way through the website. But we also have ad hoc members, ex officio members from Sugarloaf, from Montgomery Countryside Alliance, from the Solid Waste Advisory Council, and the Up County Citizens Advisory Board. So we do have other representation, not just affected communities. Next slide, please. So this is what I was talking about. The county needs to completely revise that it does solid waste management. It's not a sustainable system, but it doesn't have a technology plan. One is being developed now by a company called Arcadis. They are committed to decommissioning the incinerator, but everything has to be in place before that can happen. So we're talking about a contract extension to 2032. The assets that are down in Durwood, that's what they call Shady Grove, and Dickerson, are suboptimal. Neither site is really big enough, designed appropriately to accommodate the problem, and the cost to turn this into a 21st century solution are astronomical. You don't want to know. Millions of dollars. So the solid waste rates that are being charged to people will go up considerably in this next budget cycle to try and cover the costs of maintaining the incinerator and try and offload some of the costs to do this consulting. Next one. So what are we concerned about? We are not technicians, we're community members. So we don't necessarily have the technical expertise to unpack what this consultant is telling the county. And we have this incinerator that's putting out a lot of pollutants, most of which are not being monitored by the county on a regular basis. So we want the county to put in more scrubbers to the incinerator. We want them to monitor all of the potential cancer-causing chemicals, because we know that there's a cancer cluster in Dickerson. The county has not redone its health assessment since 2016 because we can't agree on a methodology. And then whatever the choices are, one of them is centralizing all the operations at Dickerson, which I personally think would be devastating for the community, but I'm just one person. Next, please. So what are we working on? We're concerned about the aquifer and groundwater too. So we're working to protect that. We want to expand air and non-air testing. So that means of the water, of the soil, and agree on a methodology that's meaningful to both, is achievable by the county and meaningful to the FIG. We are monitoring the evolving plans on the data center. That the concern is that the ag reserve, because we don't have all of the traffic, is going to get everything else. We're going to get the trash, and we're going to get the data centers, because we don't have, because we're here. Even though none of us had anything to do with the decision to create the ag reserve or put the incinerator there. We're also very interested in what the county is doing in its municipal solid waste options, and we're going to remind the county executive, whether he's the county executive or an at-large member of the council, that he campaigned on the promise to close the incinerator. So I think that's the end of it. Yes, thank you. So this year I'm serving as vice chair. That doesn't mean anything other than I have to come up with the agendas and run the meeting. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you, and I'm available to take any questions. And if I can't answer them, I'll take them for the record and get back to you.
So I'm sure that commissioners have questions, and I have some too, and I'll let them speak. But I just wanted to say that we really appreciate you serving on that commission and appreciate your input. And we're going to rely on you to help us set our direction in terms of advocacy. And we have a lot of tools at our disposal as best we can, and we appreciate, and they're at your disposal. So if you'll pardon the expression. So if you'll, thank you for keeping us in the loop. Thank you for the presentation. And obviously this has huge effect on us as Poolesville residents and the stewards of the surrounding community. So we really appreciate you stepping forward, and then we're counting on you. So thank you. And commissioners, questions?
I feel like I'm absorbing a lot.
Yes, I agree with you on that.
I have then. Thanks.
Yeah.
While you guys think about it.
My first reaction is go on the website. We have, as I said, it's not intuitive, but you can go see our minutes, all the reports that the county produces, and that might help
Yeah, I would
solidify
say,
your questions.
as I was listening to you when you mentioned the website, I did go ahead and pull up the website and bookmarked it.
Oh, good.
And I'm just kind of going through, and I can see there's quite a bit to go through and look at, and it probably will. I will try to get to that June 10th meeting. It's
June
on a
10th?
Tuesday. And so
It's a Tuesday.
Tuesday, right?
7 o'clock.
So I'll
7
see.
to 12, right?
7 to 12, right?
In the evening, not the morning.
Yeah, I got you. Yep.
All right.
Well, bring a blanket and
All right.
pillow and
I'll see what I could do to get over there, but
and it's
thank you
a
for your-
hybrid, so you can zoom in as well.
okay.
So Linda, I know that there's going to be other questions, and we've had some good conversations with some of the other advocacy groups in the area. And I know this is the problem. This is the problem, is what to do with the incinerator. And again, I think this group here is probably one of the few that hasn't been the people that have said that, that we've campaigned on closing the incinerator. But it's going to be, it is the problem for Montgomery County as far as we're concerned. What, again, in the conversation we've had with all the other advocacy groups, what could you say is the centralized advocacy for the direction for the county to take with the incinerator? I know it's probably, you'll give more detail, but it's a combination of getting it shut down sooner, not extending as long as they're extending, and working in parallel with a plan to bring it together versus having it tied up with a bow on it. You can't do anything until you do this. I mean, I would bet the advocacy sounds something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I would suggest the other advocacy is that every day that people in the ag reserve are exposed to the ash is another day of potential health effects that the county is not attuned to or as concerned about as they should be. That whether the incinerator's running for another year or 10 years, that there are health effects that happen every day, they're cumulative. People come here, they spend their whole lives in the ag reserve, or they spend a good deal of their adult lives here, so they're exposed to what's being burned every day. So it's cumulative, and that the county is not taking the health effects seriously is a concern. That's number one. Number two is transparency. I found out that the contract with ReWorld to continue to run the incinerator, I found out about it the day before Thanksgiving because a press release was coming out that afternoon, and they wanted us to know. We had no input into the discussion. We never got a chance to review the contract that was going to be offered. We never got a chance to challenge anything in the thinking. It was presented to us as a fait accompli. So the idea of complete transparency, recognizing that this is serious business to us.
Sure.
Because for them, it's out of sight, out of mind. They come up once a quarter, we kvetch, and then they go back to Durwood. So making sure that they understand that this isn't a quarterly problem, this is a daily issue for us.
So with the committee, if they had their best case scenario for a forward direction, what would be the recommendation? Under real world terms, what would be the recommendation?
Start using the space that's set aside for a landfill as a landfill.
Okay.
Introduce zero waste measures today, not.
Like instead of burning, not just
Instead
putting
of burning,
ashes in the
right,
landfill,
right.
actually use it as a landfill.
Yes,
You know how
use
much-
it as a landfill.
How much land do they have for that landfill?
You know, I couldn't tell you exactly, Alan, but granted, they may have to do some other manipulation
Yep.
to reduce the land, but if they up the ante on recycling, up the ante on food composting, and then landfill the rest, we're taking our ash and creating an economic justice problem in Virginia,
Sure.
in a poor community outside of Richmond. So that makes us complicit in that problem. So we have a landfill.
Do you
There are other
know why they're not
landfills
using
that.
it? Do you know why they're not using it? Is it because MDE like standards or like what?
No. We, and Montgomery Countryside Alliance and Sugarloaf have together vetted landfills for them to use.
Yeah.
Even if the one that's right here isn't good enough, we found other ones that are not creating environmental justice issues.
Okay.
So,
We do potentially have landfill options.
right, they say we can't do it because of the limitations of the transfer station, and that's why they said, well, we could just close that. They've hemmed in the transfer station with Shady Grove Metro, CarMax,
Developments, condos.
and lots of condos that bring tax revenue into the county, but basically shove the transfer station into a no expansion zone. There's no place for it to go.
It's too bad too, it's centralized, and it would have been the right place.
If they had thought about that 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of looking into the past, I'm looking on the website and I see the most current plan, unless I'm missing it, was written in August 2013. This facilities master plan for the solid
Yeah,
waste
so
operations.
that's
Is there a
what
new?
They're
Is there a new
redoing
plan?
now. They've been redoing it for 2 years.
When was it was there a time limit when it was supposed to be done? Like,
Yeah,
is it a
because-
10-year plan? Because what I read in here, it's like a 10-year plan. I'm sure the 10 years have passed by now. And so they're redoing the plan. Do they have an anticipation when that plan that's already past due would be due? Be completed?
They won't give us a solid date.
Yeah.
That's why they needed to expand or extend the contract to keep the incinerator running, because it's just taking so long.
So I guess another immediate thought that I had as you were presenting this information, as you talked about the cancer cluster in the most recent health survey from the county, our zip code and the surrounding zip codes in the Ag Reserve were
It's
the
the two zip
lowest.
codes in Dickerson.
Right. We're the lowest, the poorest performing, had the poorest outcomes, health outcomes. And I guess I'm curious, on the website, are there health studies specifically for the Dickerson area?
Yeah, from 2016, yeah.
Okay. And we, as a Fair Access Committee, we've often thought of those health outcomes related to proximity to services, but it sounds like we also need to be looking into environmental factors.
Right, the wind blows. So, it's not, it doesn't just drop down on Dickerson. It,
Sure.
Is there a web link somewhere for noting that cancer cluster has been somehow been designated? I mean, I'd love to see that
should
because
be
I think
in
that's
the, it should
evidence.
be in the health.
I just tried to search and I couldn't find anywhere, but I'm just doing it right this second. So I'll spend more time on
Try
it.
and find it.
Okay, yeah, if you could, that would be great. I mean,
I
that's,
know that our member from
Admissions part, I thought.
MCA and Sugarloaf would be
okay.
able to put their hands on it right away.
Okay, gotcha. Other commissioners, commentary, anything?
A lot to absorb.
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate,
I'm sorry it's taking me so long to get in front of you, but I needed to get a handle on what was going on.
I think we've all been aware because we've been talking about it.
Right.
But this has been, and actually it's a slightly different perspective that we've gotten from other people. So it's good. I mean, we need to have the most well-rounded knowledge so we can provide the wind beneath your wings in terms of advocacy. So,
I don't need to make the Department of Environmental Protection look good. That's not my
Understood.
job,
Yeah.
is to represent the
Yeah.
town of Poolesville and to advocate for the,
yeah, we'll put it this way. We haven't gotten anything from the county, so we don't have to worry about what they say.
okay, we don't.
We appreciate that.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, Link has something?
Oh, sorry.
Not as a Monocacy reporter, but as a Fair Access Chair. Just one thing I did want to mention, and this is a great start, Linda, for discussing this, but Sugarloaf actually won a court suit against the county. So they have some legal leverage on the county with respect to the incinerator. They also have an expert who's pretty good on the technology. And I've been to two meetings that Steve Finley, who's the chair of Sugarloaf, asked me to attend and listen to the budget presentations of the EPA. And Linda's exactly right. A lot of this is because they haven't really shared a lot of the budget information. We still don't know a lot of it because they haven't got final numbers. So they didn't even know what to put in the budget this time. So it's important, but I think Sugarloaf could be a really useful ally here, and I think you should have them come and testify as well.
Lauren? Is
Yeah.
that who you're talking about?
Yeah, they're really important, I think, to this whole process, so. I had some good discussions with Steve, and he's really up to speed on this, so. But this is a good start, and thank you for coming.
Good stuff. Anybody else for Linda? Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was interesting and sad at the same time. So
Good way to
appreciate
put
that.
it.
Yeah, sad. Jerry, did you want to come up now, or are you going to wait till after the budget presentation? Come on up.
Or reading material.
Jerry Klobakowski, 17300 Fletcher Hall Road, Poolesville, Maryland. It's interesting to note that incinerator was really never supposed to go in Dickerson. It was supposed to go down right where the transfer station is. We were told that they had built the transfer station with a knockout wall that would be adjacent to where the incinerator pit would be, and everything that would be dumped would be into the pit and then burned in the incinerator. However, the reason it didn't get built down there is because the people in the surrounding area got really upset and basically decided, and the county decided they didn't want to put up with it, and also they looked at the land for, as Linda pointed out, to build a lot of reserve for future homes, whether they were single-family apartments, condos, or whatever. And so then we got the incinerator up here. When with respect to that landfill up here, it was Sugarloaf Citizens Association who sued the county to prevent it from being used, period. And the county, that incinerator does generate electricity because it's just a steam-operated plant. You put in fuel, you generate the steam, you have expansion, you have condensation, you have feed, and it goes all the way around again. So the electricity that's generated by that incinerator is used to run the incinerator and then can go into the grid. The mulch, that's one thing that is successful in the county, is making a very nice, I think, profit on that, since they're getting the stuff in and they're making it, they're bagging it, and they're selling it. And you can find it in all over the county, well, Montgomery County stores as well as Frederick County stores, and I think a lot of other counties are doing the same thing. And so the question is, even if they did open up that, what you call it?
Yeah.
Pardon?
The landfill.
Landfill, thank you. The question is, how many tons of trash does the county collect every day? And how many years could that landfill work for? And as I recall too, the one reason that the landfill, that Sugarloaf Citizens Association got it stopped, was the argument that it would ruin the groundwater. It would pollute the local groundwater, the aquifer. So that's my 2 cents for that. And that's been going on for a long time. But as you said in one meeting before, until we find out a strategy that will get rid of the stuff, and it doesn't matter, you're going to ship it somewheres, whether it goes to Virginia or it goes to Pennsylvania, like our sludge from our sewage treatment plant, where we pay $200,000 plus to have it shipped and stored, because you can't put it in the ground in Montgomery County, you can't put it in the ground in Frederick County. So what happens? It gets, and what do? Well, they put the stuff in a landfill, or, well, trash in a landfill, and then they use it like up in Laytonsville, where they drill pipes, put piping down into the landfill, and then draw the methane gas off and have a generator there and use that to run the landfill. So it's a conundrum. It's not going to be easily solved. There are no pretty solutions, really. I thought the incinerator did have scrubbers on it. I know that the power station, it has been decommissioned. Whether it's ever going to be torn down, that's another thing. And then, okay, so they decommissioned the incinerator. Are they going to tear it apart or what? Now, and the thing is, with the transfer station down there, being somewhat cynical the way this county operates, I'm wondering if they're thinking, well, if we can get rid of the incinerator there, they're always talking about, having more homes closer to the metro, and you could put condos on it. So anyways, that may be a long-term solution. But that's my take on that, and I'll shut up until Wade's budget presentation.
Thank you for that, Jerry. Appreciate it. Okay, any other questions? Nope. All right, we're moving on to the ordinance number 228 FY25.
26.
Now look at town staff scrambles. FY26.
Thank you, Lyndon. Donald.
Thank you.
Yeah.
FY26 budget and tax rate introduction. And also, our purpose tonight will be to set a public hearing for our next meeting. But go ahead, let's have that intro, guys.
Okay, that's just an intro, so I'm not going to go over the whole budget this evening. This will be available online, as well as it's released today or Friday when the packet went out to the public with the agenda. Tonight I will be going over a PowerPoint presentation just to kind of summarize some of the main points of the budget. So let's talk first about general fund revenue. And the proposed budget reflects an increase in a property tax of 18.77 cents of $100 of assessment. That's up from last year's rate of 18.59 cents. The constant rate yield due to the assessments actually dropped to 17.54 cents. So the increase to 18.77 equates to the $143,590 yield that we will receive over last year's revenue. And this is likely the only revenue source that we really control. Okay.
But we don't really control, because we don't control assessments.
True, just setting the rate only.
Understood.
So the second biggest income generator is going to be income tax, and we do receive 17%. Last couple of years, we've seen that really level off as far as the increase. We usually see about a 2% increase over the years, and we saw that income tax actually surpassed the revenue streams of property tax. That's not the case now. We're seeing a drop off in it, only because the last couple of years we didn't add any homes. And then with the, just being conservative and working with our county partners, they're saying be careful because of the federal layoffs could impact, they expect it's going to impact the overall income tax level. So we're being conservative, using an FY24 calculation for revenue sharing as far as income tax goes. Highway user funds and revenue sharing, they both were up a little bit, and we're kind of wary of that also because we aren't exactly sure exactly where the state's going to come in, if they're going to, take some easy low-hanging fruit like they did back in 2008 and, robbed us of our funds. We finally got it back. So we are trying to be conservative with all our numbers that were coming together, but it does give us a total projected revenue of $5,647,846. So let's talk about how we're going to spend it. So the general fund overview, we said the revenue up there. So it's broken down really into operating expenses, which is about $4 million, and we'll go into detail on what that's going to be. And then we fund the water and wastewater projects, as well as the general fund capital projects. For total expenditures, you see it up there with the, the annual balance is $4,474. So pretty tight line as far as expenditures and revenues go. And stop me anytime if there's any questions, please.
And just a note for the public, whoever may be watching us online too. So we've already had, the town commissioners have already had this draft shared with us through our regular sharing process. We've also had a budget meeting in which we've all had discussion, line-by-line discussions on the budget itself. We were encouraged to review the budget prior to the meeting, and I give all the commissioners credit for being on top of their game when we did have that meeting. A lot of questions were asked, a lot of conversations. It is line by line. It's not something that we just gloss over and expect town staff to produce for us, but we do appreciate your production of it. And and I think we've asked a lot of questions. So, yeah, keep going. I just want to make it seem like to the public, we're just getting presented this, and then we're going to have a public hearing. The commissioners are expected to know this budget.
Yes, a lot of work's gone into this. Department heads all submit budgets, and we go through those before it even gets to you guys to go through it. So, yeah, line by line.
Appreciate that.
So when we break down the operations of the general fund, you're talking about town administration, and that's really a big category that captures a lot of different things from, the regular auditing, the printing, communications, the community events that happen out here. And then the grants that we have, the granting programs that we have for the seniors and other grant applicants that do submit requests. Our largest one is staff and salaries and benefits at $1.889 million. And this year we are looking at a 4% increase for the administration staff, 5% for the field staff, and raised up the bottom level, entry-level positions to $22 per hour. And that was really just to correct our recruitment and our retainage of employees. And the February 3rd meeting is when we had a good discussion about that. We had an employee salary survey done, and that was a big discussion. So anybody wants to go back and really see the details of how we got to where we were, it was on that particular meeting. Municipal buildings and operations, several of these accounts here, I won't go down and name every one of them, but they're pretty self-explanatory what they are. Municipal services are our next largest category at $822,000, and that is really mostly trash collection with some code enforcement also. And then we have legal and engineering and our debt service. Currently, we only have one debt service for a loan that we've taken out for I&I projects several years ago, and we probably will. It probably won't be till the next budget cycle that we will pick up the second loan that we're working on right now for the replacement of the westerly water lines. So it's not included in this budget for that purpose. I don't think we're going to see it until FY27.
And it's nice that we've been able to make progress on most of this without having to get loans, and while we pay off the previous loans that we've had. So it's time to take on more debt. Unfortunately.
Oh.
Well, we don't have a choice.
We don't have a choice.
It's more efficient to take on the debt than it is to wait it out and try and pay for it.
1.2% or to, up to maybe 1.75% is much cheaper to take.
Yeah,
on debt.
yeah, that's good.
Okay, going into the capital projects for the general fund. So we have $898,000 going to that. And it's a whole different categories, just from regular technology upgrades that we do in town hall, the maintenance that we do in town hall. There are a couple of grants in this category here. Historic Medley, which is for the John Poole House repairs that are going on there, and then a Riverworks grant. Also going to build a park storage building down at the maintenance area. We have miscellaneous tractors, mowers, and things that we turn over every 7 years. We always save up money for that. We don't just purchase everything in 1 year. We save up for it over several years. Same with the trucks. We do a 10-year cycle turnover on the trucks. A couple of big projects we have is definitely the Fisher Avenue streetscape. We saved a lot of money for that. We're waiting for the federal monies to come through. It looks like it's still coming through for us, so
Yeah?
cross your toes, your fingers.
Okay, like it's unfrozen officially?
Officially, it is, yeah.
There's an update. Go ahead, give it to him, Wade. Tell him
Yeah,
what we're
yes,
doing.
what it was, the state has a contract bidding process for the engineering, design engineering. Well, they ran out of the contract, well, it actually runs out in December. So they figured that if we started the project now to get the design going, they would end up, the contract would be over and you'd start back over and we'd be stuck with the bill. And it's, several hundred thousands of dollars we'd be stuck with, so.
Yeah.
We had to wait for them to get a new contract in place. It's a 5-year contract. Should happen, they said in spring. So we're just waiting for a phone call now.
So a year from now.
That's great.
And hopefully we're at the top of the list since we were at the bottom of the list before.
We hope
So,
We hope so. And then we do regular sidewalks. The Pool Bubble and White's Ferry, there's some funds that are placed aside there, mostly for an earmark at this time. If it's not spent, as it wasn't with the community center money they had set aside years ago, then it won't be spent. As far as the park projects, we have a lot of park projects. Not all of them are going to happen this year, of course. What we do, again, we save up each year for a project, and it goes out into the out years. But we always have a replacement park fund every 20 years. 20 to 25 years, we replace the tot lots. That's what they start getting rusty, and it's time to, they're not safe anymore, so we replace them. But there is a lot of good projects there. And then, of course, we accumulate about $400,000 a year for a paving project that we do every other year. So that's all in the general fund. And all these are in detail on the capital projects pages. There's notes on the bottom of the pages that correspond to the exact numerical position of the project and a good description of it. Okay, moving on to the water and wastewater. So there we are looking at having just, $2.1 million, almost $2.2 million in revenue. All comes from user fees generated from water use. And basically it pays for the operations of the water and sewer and everything like that. We'll get into the details of that in a second here. But cash fund balance, we're looking at this year around $23,000. And this is so dependent on rainfall, because if you have too much rain, you get I&I, the pumps are working more, you use more electricity and more chemicals. If you have less water, then you're pumping less water, you're making less money. So weather plays a big role.
thread the needle. Got it.
Okay. So, yeah, the water and operating expenses, it's everything from administration, the chemicals we use for the wastewater plant. We use chlorine only for the water as far as that goes. Sludge hauling, it is a big number every year, $200,000 to $250,000 each year. We're hoping that with the D-night filters and the new chemicals we're using, that we can get that down a little bit. It kind of dewaters it better. You guys saw the belt filter plant. So we're,
Don't stand too close.
I'll have samples. Salaries and benefits, that's certainly a big one too. But really, it operates, 10 wells, 6 sewage pump stations that are throughout town, 25 miles of water and sewer lines, 2 storage tanks and a water treatment plant, and a partridge in a pear tree.
If the PFAS ever got low enough, what would we be able to do with the sludge? That would be more locally managing it.
Well, it's getting somebody that's a farmer that wants to apply it. Now, Dave Scott used to do that years ago, and I don't know that many people in Montgomery County do that anymore from human waste. I mean, they do.
But we could potentially find a farmer, even if it wasn't in Montgomery County, but we could potentially
Be
find a
potential,
farmer who would
yeah.
take it. Okay.
I missed that. What are you proposing, Commissioner?
She wants to, Jerry, it's the same thing. We talk about it every year for the last, how many years? Finding something positive to do with the sludge instead of just throwing it away.
I was just saying, if the PFAS levels come down because of all this
Correct. Yeah, I get it.
money that we are sinking into cleaning up our
Right, yeah. So then the sludge effectively becomes cleaner.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, would we be able to do something
Mhm.
with it to compost it, essentially?
Okay. Yeah, that would be neat if it could stay local, but
Also,
I
it
don't
would
know
just be
about that.
cool to see that the levels are improving.
Absolutely.
Because of all of the
Oh,
work
we-
that we're putting into PFAS.
Give us a, sorry to get offline here. How many, give us an idea, how many truckloads a year of sludge do we get rid of? What is it? I mean,
Such a great
I'm asking a
sludge.
legitimate question, you guys.
Truckloads, wow.
Yeah, how many so let's say a dumpster, a 40-yard dumpster,
He's gonna dump that dumpster 4 times a month.
Yeah.
4 times a month. Okay, because
a week, so
that's what we do. We clean out our dumpster 4 times a month. Someone comes and hauls away the dumpster where the sludge has been deposited. Okay, that's reasonable. So roughly,
The price it ranges because during times when like right now, when the weather's warm one day, cool next week, then the blanket doesn't settle. He talked about that a little bit. So then it's more difficult to dewater. So your sludge is going to weigh a little bit more in those months. Summer months, you could crank it out. It's going to be a flat cake and it's going to be dry and it's beautiful. And it's a lot cheaper to haul it. So.
right. Wade says sludge is beautiful. Okay, I got it.
It's kind of beautiful.
When
the
it
way
dries
you
out.
do it.
It dries out
Like a pancake.
like a pancake. I'm already hungry. We can't do this.
Well, they got sludge for you if you need some.
4 truckloads a month,
It's just
48 a
organic
year,
matter.
50 truckloads a year. That's the kind of number I was looking for. Thank you for that.
Moving on. So take a look at some of the wastewater capital projects. And this is $724,000. This is also paid out of the general fund. And we have, equipment replacements that occur within that's the first account is going to be a water account. Alpha Media, which is the media we use for uranium, we stick for $40,000 a year away for that. Every 3 years, we have to change those out. PFAS remediation, we're still getting a handle on that. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars going into that right now.
Is uranium or heavy metals in our water? It's not anything that we've done. It just happens to be.
Naturally occurring in rock
Naturally
as it
occurring.
deteriorates, absolutely.
My soil test's really high in metals.
Oh, did it really? Interesting.
Do you have
I
a,
just didn't know if that was our area.
Well, it's so much rock,
Yeah.
there's very little mantle. I mean, it's.
yeah. But there's places that have a ton more, and you can just go by radon. Radon detection
It's a decaying
around
rock.
here is medium, but say I just did a house tested for 4 picocuries per liter. That's like the standard for Montgomery County, so it was right at 4. I just did one in Thurmont that was 95. So
It exists in the atmosphere at 4 parts per.
yeah, something like that, somewhere around that number, yeah, in just breathable atmosphere. But it was 95. I asked for a retest. I was like, this can't be. They're like, oh no, it happens all the time. Like,
Up in
oh,
Vermont, maybe.
yeah, just rocky and yeah, not around here, yeah. But
Wait,
just-
I'm gonna bring us
Yeah.
back to where we are. All right, let's go.
Sorry.
So anyway, no, go ahead.
At the wastewater plant, pump replacements, electrical upgrades. We do the basin cleanings. We're replacing a generator down here for Elgin and Fisher pump stations, and then building a storage area. And then painting the facility down at the wastewater plant. We've been saving money up for that for several years. That's gonna be a big project we do next year, I believe we're tackling that. And then there's other water meters we have to purchase, belt filter press. Hydrant Buddy. Who knows what a Hydrant Buddy is?
I do as of today, but go ahead.
He's a buddy of a hydrant.
It is a tool we use to exercise hydrants and valves. And it's great for the operators because it's a lot of manual labor, and they can put a piece of equipment on there and. So we have to exercise all the hydrants and all the valves every year.
That's your stomach, Chip?
Someone just, that's my stomach, or did that hydrant buddy just got cranked up?
Hydrant Buddy.
Somebody has a lot of truck.
That could be
And
the
then
dude I'm
inflow and
talking about.
reduction. Now we're back to, we're not doing repairs right now. Now we're looking at our monitoring systems that we have out in the system, as well as pump stations. And we did some televising of a couple of different areas a couple of weeks ago. John's going to come and show you dirty movies of it next week or the week after.
Yeah.
It was a good find, so we found some good stuff, so we'll be looking to get those repaired. And then we have emergency repairs, and of course, the westerly water line replacement. They will get those funds back we're expending now. But then a new one is well development, and that's a category we've set up, and it's gonna go hand in hand with the connection fees that we're collecting. And that's to look for alternative water sources, maybe bring another well online or 2 for redundant purposes for backup. So it's part of the thing we're gonna hear about next week also.
Are there particular areas where you suspect?
There's a couple watersheds we have availability. It's getting on that properties, and yeah, there's a couple that we've kind of looked at. And it may be even going outside of town and talking about water rights. There's several different options that we have. We've been talking with MDE about, so. But everything's on the table at this point, kind of thing. So overall, we have a nice balanced budget, addresses all your priorities. We have well over $1.1 million in reserves, well above our 17.5% we've set. And then the document will be online, and we need to set a public hearing.
Very good. Questions for the commissioners, for town staff? I mean, we all just had an interactive session just now anyway. Anybody else have any questions?
No, it's pretty.
I know we've already done this several times already, so I appreciate bringing it up. Jerry, we'll get to you in just a minute for your commentary on it. I did want to set that public hearing if there was no other questions for now. If so, I need somebody to make a motion to set the public hearing as per.
Motion that we set the public hearing for the budget public hearing for April 21st, 2025.
Ed has made a motion to set a public hearing for the FY26 budget for April 21st, our next meeting, 2025. Is there a second? Second from Brian. Any other questions?
So we'll be doing both the water public hearing and the budget public
Well, it won't be a
hearing on the
public,
same night?
it won't be official public hearing for
an
the
official
water. It'll just be a good conversation night.
Report.
So,
Report.
yeah.
Update.
So we'll open up that meeting with the public hearing for the budget, and then we'll quickly
Great.
go into,
We'll
I
have a
know.
great audience. We're
I know.
gonna have all the water.
It'll be good. Yeah.
Get some sleep.
Well, let's hope people
Easter
have
Monday.
feedback and
Good.
conversation.
That night.
Yeah.
Good, good, good.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor of setting the public hearing as per the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Okay. Public hearing, staff officially set. Anything else from staff on the budget? Commissioners, conversation, questions?
I'm good.
Jerry, you want to come on up and give part two?
Jerry Klobakowski, 17300 Fletcher Road, Poolesville, Maryland. On page 8, and also goes directly to what Wade says, and my question was, and I think Wade partially answered that, how secure are the figures for tax duplication and HU, and the highway user revenue? Because tax duplication will be affected by how many layoffs impact federal government layoffs impact the county, and also the side bet thing it'll affect the highway user revenue because that comes from the gas tax. So if less people are going to work, less gas is being used, and the taxes go down. So
I'm going to go with more gas is being used because people have to go to work now.
oh yeah,
commute from
but
home,
yeah,
so
but if they're
maybe
not,
a trade-off.
if they're not going to work,
Right, if they're not
not
working.
driving, so not driving,
Yeah,
less
so
gas.
Probably equal in that one.
Yeah, and so I'm just curious because like Wade said, those are low-hanging fruit for the county and the state.
We have not heard, Jerry, and I'm trying to watch every single thing I can read on this. I have not heard that those are threatened yet,
Okay,
but
Yeah.
that's all we know. That could obviously change.
okay.
But I have not, staff, have you heard anything?
Same thing.
Yeah, from our budget guys that we talked
They're
to?
saying they're not going to make any changes.
Yeah, yes, yep. Let's keep our fingers crossed.
And on page, whoops, I had it, page 10. I questioned giving out some of the money, one for the Pride and two for the Hope Ballet. With respect to Hope Ballet, I mentioned last time I was here, what about checking with local theater groups? Like, I don't know if the only theater is still there, Stratmore, whose name I couldn't think of, and then you've got the Kennedy Center, and you've got other theaters down in D.C. that may have sets or materials that they could obtain for free, and then have the high school students who put on plays and stuff every year, do in some of the art ones up at the high school, help design the sets for them and produce them. So that would be roughly $5,755, and then in addition to those grants, you have another $5,000 for community grants, so that's $10,755. I thought those were the community grants. So why is there another $5,000 for community grants? And also Poolesville Day. Poolesville Day Committee, I understood to say they didn't need any money this year.
No, that's
No,
not true.
That's not true?
No, they needed less.
They needed less. Okay,
Asked
my
for
fault.
less than the year before.
Okay. All right.
Headline, Jerry.
$5,000
Yeah.
It's in the event that a mini grant does come through during the year, but if the money is not utilized, it goes back into the.
There you
Well, I understand that, but the same thing, you put it out there, it's like contractors, you put the money out there, you say $100,000, by the end of the year, they're gonna figure out how to use that $100,000.
I mean, I get-
Somebody's gonna come in.
We get what you're saying.
Anyways,
Yeah, we understand what
okay.
you're saying. I do.
And then, okay, the HMD grant, I've had problems with that even when I was a commissioner, initially because we were just gonna help them out. And then all of a sudden now, we're talking about, I think, $150,000 roughly between 2026 and 2030 at $30K a year. So, I mean, come on, guys. You know, they're a charitable organization, and as well as then Riverworks, they want $25,000, and actually it turns out to be $50,000. You know, again, the person who established Riverworks, I guess, is a charitable organization as well.
501c3.
Yeah, well, bottom line is, we're going to give him money, but I heard that some of the events that he produces there, you have to pay to get in. Am I incorrect on that one?
I have no idea, actually.
Okay, so I mean, like, if we're giving them money and people from our town who are paying the taxes here are going to have to pay to go to these events, I don't think so. That's not the way it should work. And then the White's Ferry Fund, $50,000 is listed, and I'm like, what's that? We're going to buy a barge?
We are, right, we're gonna put the town's name is gonna be sponsored on the side of the boat when it's,
Okay, yeah.
so that's what we had to
Like
pay
a lot of
for.
those.
Made it right, the US, right. Oh, the USS Klobakowski.
Have a row of pontoon boats going. Right? Yeah, okay.
I gotta make sure that boat has a clean enough white space to put your entire name across it.
I'm gonna go ahead on the side, not over the
Now,
awning.
in all seriousness, that money has not been spent, and we don't know if that money is ever gonna be allocated for that.
And then the other one is, well, I'll get back to the GIS. It says infrastructure, utilities and infrastructure. What does the infrastructure mean? Does it just mean water and sewer? Does it also include street trees, street signs, fire hydrants? I guess that would be water.
Yeah.
And, you know, the roads and a lot of other little things that, you know, I've seen in GIS systems that they record right down to the nets.
And I don't think we're looking for anything besides that, right? It's gonna be.
So we just had a meeting the other week about what we're still putting into it. We've already put most of the water lines and the hydrants and the valves and all of that is already in the system. The street lights is one of the things that we've already identified and is in the system. We're going to look at our street signs and sort of the signage around town, including our infrastructure, crosswalks, all those type of things
Yeah.
to maintain. We're looking at some of the stormwater infrastructure as well that we maintain and using the county's data in that sense because of what they maintain. So it's about combining all of those infrastructures together in a layer that can be usable and searchable and verifiable for what we do every day.
So that would include basically date of installation, anytime you do a repair.
Right.
And the dates of repair. Now, like with street trees, you could put in the type of trees, the date they were planted, if they were replaced, when they were replaced, why they were replaced, then you sort of have a rolling history of stuff.
Exactly, and we've already created the inspection forms to do this. So, for example, with the hydrant flushing coming up, that's another thing where we're going to document the current condition as they go through. So all of that data was put in last year, and this year we can update it as need be and do those kind of things.
I'm sort of confused about this bouldering wall or boulder wall for rock climbing. We have Sugarloaf Mountain up there. When I was a kid, we climbed all over the.
Oh, God.
I mean, you've got
You left your-
C&O Canal,
Yeah.
you got other places. I understand there's some
Middle schoolers can't
quarries.
drive
I
yet,
understand
though.
there's quarries around that are off of, not Mouth of Minot.
All right, all
You know, that-
illegal.
You know, it's
for people
like,
to go
you
to.
know,
Yeah.
we need to be, and also the question to me, my question really is to the liability of that. If someone falls, someone screws up, you know, and then who's going to be liable? unless you have someone
Similar to the
there.
skate park, and yes, this is just another park addition is what we're talking about.
Yeah,
So
okay.
it's a different version of the parks we already have.
Okay, and on page 24, by the way, the water rates, I mentioned it before, and it's like the water rates for commercial water rates for 25 to 35 are 23.51, and they're also 23.51 for 35 to 40,000 commercial and 40,000 and up for commercial. Yet, the residents are paying less for those last two rates. The 35 to 40,000 is 34.09. They're paying more, excuse me. They're paying more, 35.09. And then for the 40,000 and up, they're paying 44.62. What's wrong here? I'm missing something here. Commercial should be paying exactly the same, if not more.
So we wanted to make sure we didn't make a economical downturn for the restaurants that are in town. They don't have seasonal variation, just like residents do. So the residents, in the summertime, you would see some spike up and go way over that 40,000 gallons for that quarterly period. They were just watering their grass. So we want to encourage conservation. You're not going to encourage conservation at the schools or the pool or restaurants by doing that. You're going to hurt their business by doing that. Because
Well, the schools-
they're always up in the upper range all the time.
The schools, you're going to save the county money because they won't have to pay as much if the water is.
Well, that's what we have the government rate now, so they're going to pay their fair share plus. the
Okay.
school. We did-
All right, well.
You get the
And it-
question. We get it.
And there is one
Yeah.
unnamed restaurant who we've had problems with in the past about the fact that they could use that thing except on a very larger scale that gets fat out of the water, where we've had to go in and spend money to clear out the
that's
sewer
okay.
line.
Yeah, that's over.
That's over?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, the grease trap was completely.
All right. And one last thing is, as I recall,
Talk about Bassett's. Keep going.
and as I recall, like water meters, with the newer water meters, you can get it right down to the gallon, which means that customers would be charged a more accurate fee for the water used, and the town would get a better return, I won't say return, but more revenue because the amount would be known rather than, people going in and reading the meter, which sometimes, I got through with that. I stopped doing that myself. And then you got the thing. But I mean,
I don't think we're missing it, though.
Wouldn't replacing
I hear you. I hear you
as many
because
meters as possible in town to make them more accurate so that the amount that people are charged is more accurate so that the revenue is maybe increased?
We have not seen, so we have replaced several of them, especially in areas we have a hard time
Yeah.
getting into to do houses. We put the remote control ones on so we can read it. And we really don't see any variation from
There you
what it was before and then a revenue generator by any means.
So the precision, and also too, you remember, you have to be precise like every time, but in water, you can also be precise every third time.
It's true, too.
So,
Okay, well, that's basically it. Thank you very much. I appreciate you for allowing me to bring up these issues with you, and have a good evening.
you always have us thinking, Jerry. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Staff, any other response for Mr. Klobakowski? Commissioners?
Thank you for reading the budget.
Yeah, thank you for doing it. Yeah, we appreciate you. Always did.
I just got 2 new pairs of glasses because I'm.
You wore 'em out, apparently. All right, very
Put
good.
that in the budget next year.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the commentary, town staff. Thanks for the presentation. Old business, we don't have anything. Look there, town manager's report.
Okay, I want to talk about the next meeting a little bit.
Yep.
So we're going to have the water capacity discussion. Kathy Amendment and I are meeting with MDE on Thursday to finalize our water capacity plan as part of that. I also reached out to Pat Hammond and invited him to come to the meeting, and he said he can come to the meeting. And also, we're trying to get MDE to come to the meeting also. I haven't reached out to Caroline Taylor yet, but I'm sure that Pat probably told her, but I'll reach out to her also to see if she wants to join.
Sure, thank you.
That's it on that one. So if anybody had any questions on the water part of it,
No, looking forward to it.
still putting the pieces together right now, what the meeting's going to be like, because we've been waiting for this meeting with MDE forever. it feels
Which has been postponed a couple times.
I know, I saw I shared the emails with you, it's like, he's not gonna believe me, they canceled on me
It's,
again.
yeah, I was like, come on, man.
Next week, we're going to be doing the West Willard sidewalk section by Fisher Avenue and the corner lot there. Finally get that tied in. So the spring breaks next week, so we're trying to take advantage of
good.
that when students are walking back and forth. Alan talked about hydrant flushing already. The Wayland Electrical bid, the bids are out, and we're having the bid opening on April 23rd. So that'll be coming to you soon to award a contract.
Wayland electrical bid for, where like the.
Redoing all electrical in the
cars,
park.
Or just all of it?
Just all of it, yes.
Okay.
Let's see. Sewer line TV, and I talked about that. Tara's been busy planning on the Spring Fest, which is Saturday, May 3rd, 3 to 8 p.m. She said that they're going to have 6 Friday on the Commons. 2 of them are on, 2 of the Friday nights are going to be a bingo night with the Upper Montgomery County Fire Department and a movie night. So that's gonna be neat. So she's all excited, and she's
That's
got
good.
tons of energy, and it's great.
Done a great job.
Yeah, she is.
Thank you.
She's going to be sending out a postcard with all the final dates and activities during May sometime, so that's going
Perfect.
to be coming up.
She needs to be nicer to the commissioners that come in during the day.
It's nice to
I'm just saying.
It's nice to me when I go in. Me too. Wow, you know.
Oh, it's on me now.
I'm sure she's nice to you too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, never mind. Forget I said anything.
She's like, "Is Jim with you?" I was like, "Yep." She's like, "Okay, we'll talk tomorrow."
Talk later. Is that it for you guys?
Is it?
All right. Any other questions?
One small thing. We're
Yes,
gonna
Niles.
Start a cybersecurity program with the state that we had applied for back a while ago. That's going to start this month. So awesome. We'll be doing that as well.
Good.
Good note.
Okay, somebody has to say something besides me.
I'll make a motion. We adjourn.
I second his motion.
All in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for coming out tonight.
I didn't ask. Right.
Think I'll bring the champagne.
That is funny.
It doesn't have guns on it.